Hey everybody, I want to sort of clue people in on a good way of detecting lies and deception. So this is kind of sort of under the moniker of human lie detection or self lie detection. Micro expressions, facial expressions, body language, that type of thing. It's not an exact science, although it is often packaged and sold as such. It's just not exact, because body language, first of all, is one of these traits where there's commonalities across the board, but there are individual differences, right? So, for example, it's along the lines of saying all men ever want is sex, right? Well, okay, but generally all people want sex at some point. Some guys have a higher sex drive than others. Some guys actually don't want sex and they identify as asexual, believe it or not. So when you make it, so with body language, there are broad generalizations that can apply, but you're still dealing with individuals. And a clever phrase is to always remember you're a unique individual just like everyone else. So keep that in mind. You have to also be familiar with the person you're speaking to, and the more familiar you are, the more accurate you will be. Unfortunately, if you're dealing with somebody who's a pathological deceiver, they've probably already researched this and practiced it and learned how to emulate and sort of fake body language and expressions to make themselves more believable. So there's also that. So you really have to sort of know who it is you're dealing with, and you have to know whether or not you're catching them when they're just, speaking clearly and straightforward versus when they're thinking in a more calculated manner. So with that in mind, the biggest thing to watch is somebody's eyes. The eyes are the window into the soul, they say, but it's also the loudspeaker for the brain. Nothing communicates more about how the brain is thinking than the eyes. And I want to stress that, how the brain is thinking, not what the brain is thinking. So you can't watch somebody's face. There's no facial expression for somebody actually telling a lie. There isn't. But depending on how someone is thinking, their eyes and their face are going to do certain things. They're sort of choreographed. There's strings to the face, like Pinocchio, right? So, for example, a very common one is when somebody has to think imaginatively and very deeply. You know how people tend to look up right? That's a good example that we're all overwhelmingly familiar with. And I mean, they even put it in comic strips and cartoons, right? When somebody's thinking, they sort of look up. When somebody's deep in imaginative thought. But when you're talking to somebody, the eye direction matters, and I'm going to give you a way to remember this. When people look to the right, the R side to the right, R is for recollection. So when people are recalling something from memory that actually happened, and they're telling a story about some past event, they're going to look to the right. When they look to the left, that's the constructive, hypothetical, imaginary side of the brain. So they're constructing a narrative, they're constructing a thought pattern, and they may very well be recalling certain events and then trying to put a different spin on it. So you'll see their eyes darting back and forth a lot, where they're trying to tell a partial truth. So they'll remember something and then they'll add their own personal spin to it. You'll see their eyes go to the right, and then you'll see them go to the left and the right and the left, sometimes very quickly. Blinking matters a lot. Watch whenever they blink when they're talking, is another indicator. And again, what the blinking indicates, you have to sort of, for one, blinking is a more difficult variable to put in the equation, because people just naturally blink anyways. You have to sort of take an average of, watch how they blink when they're not talking, watch how they blink when they are talking, watch how they blink when they're remembering something versus when they're constructing something, when they get excited, when they get sad. Blinking is something that's more of an advanced expression to watch, but it's there. And whenever you see it, it's basically, think of it like the mind is sort of just fluttering, or the mind it gets a little giddy. Is going to be your indicator. There's more to it than that. I'm not going to focus too deep on it, but suffice it to say, blinking itself is a tricky one. The other thing is, watch for the facelift effect, is what I call it. The facelift effect is, think Mark Zuckerberg forcing that smile in Congress, right? Where it's like, right? My beard kind of sort of hides the effect now that I think about it. But you watch, the ears wiggle, the ears go up, the eyebrows go up. Think of like bad plastic surgery, like a bad facelift. This can show heightened sensual, or heightened sense acuity. It can show anxiety, like when somebody is surprised, or when they're on edge, when they're tense. So you can sort of gauge the tension and anxiety with which someone is speaking, or how they respond. You ever catch somebody out of the clear blue? Watch for the facelift effect. It looks like bad plastic surgery. That's what you got to look for. Also, the eyebrows going up are a huge indicator. A lot of times you'll see people when they're hunting for an explanation, the eyebrows go up because they're on the spot. So you ask someone a question, the eyebrows go up, you see their eyes go to the left, like they're hunting for an answer, and they're stressed out because they're trying to construct something that makes sense. And then when they deliver it, the eyebrows go down. And when the eyebrows go down, somebody is delivering a statement with more force than normal. So it's incorrect to say it is a forced statement. It is a statement with extra force behind it. So they're really trying to push whatever it is they're saying to you. So overall, if you are talking to somebody about where were you last night, what were you doing, or who is this in your phone, why is she texting you, how do you know her, how do you know him, all this stuff. When you catch somebody off guard, the eyebrows go up, the eyes go to the left, and then once they've thought of something, the eyes go straight forward and the eyebrows go down, like eye beams, right? Like the cartoons where they got the eye lasers. They're trying to shoot a story into you. So you got to watch for that. When you say something, you see the facelift effect, the eyebrows go up, look for the eyes to go to the left. L is the lie side. And I hate to say that because it's not always true. If you're asking somebody to come up with a hypothetical, well, of course you're going to see their eyes go to the left. But if they should be saying something that ought to be from memory, like an actual encounter or experience, like, oh, now I know why you were talking to so-and-so at the bar. Do you remember so-and-so? Do you remember the other night when you were being a dick? Right? Do you remember the other night? Why were you acting that way? What will you see? Their eyes will go to the right. And then if they're going to like explain something away, it goes back to the left. Right? Versus, why were you acting like that the other night? You were acting like a douche. Plain and simple. Right? But the more that you the more somebody tries to explain something and tries to think about it and put an explanation together, you're going to see those eyes go to the left. When somebody's telling a partial truth, you see them going to the left and to the right. When somebody's trying to convince you, when somebody's trying to convince you of something, the eyebrows go down, the eyes go straight forward. They're trying to push something into you. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean lying. It means that they are trying to push what they're saying very strongly. So, again, it's all choreography. It's all getting to know the person you're talking to and knowing what sort of expressions to look for when they give you an answer. If it's something that ought to be coming from memory, it should be it should be fairly calm, fairly relaxed. Not a lot to it. Right? Why were you acting that way the other night? Well, because you were being a douchebag. Right? I mean, that's what an honest reply sounds like. But in any case, one other thing I want to mention, the smirk. That's part of the facelift effect. The smirk, the pursing of the lips. You know how when you're writing something like say like a grocery list or maybe a receipt, like you're going to the store, you got your hands full and you got this piece of paper. Maybe it's an instructions sheet from the doctor, whatever, any piece of paper, and you need your hands free, so you put this piece of paper in your mouth, or it could be like your phone, for example. How do you hold it in your mouth? You pull your lips over. Your mouth becomes very horizontal, and you look like a bad emoji. Watch for that effect, like tucking in the lips and the mouth. That's also a sign of high stress, high tension. Again, it sort of is not a good indicator all on its own, but it's an effect to watch for when you're talking with somebody. And then lastly, I'll leave you with this. Go watch the full Jussie Smollett interview. We're gonna be hearing a lot about this guy, unfortunately. Watch the interview. You can see when he's actually telling the truth. When he's talking about going to Subway and he says, "And I got a salad." Watch for the mention of the salad. I forget exactly at what timestamp it is, but when you watch, he's talking about his manager or whoever, and he says, "And I got a salad." His eyes look to the right. That's like one of the only times he ever told the truth. The rest of the time, his eyes are looking left, his eyebrows are going up, and then whenever he delivers his statement, he goes into the forceful mode, talking about his lies to try and push the lie out. I think it's an excellent training ground, and there's plenty of videos out there for body language analysis of Jussie Smollett. You can also check those out. I'm out of time. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, or share, and I'll see you on the next video.